Whoa. Different species.
Woo! Wow, 好正喎。
See, this is a classic. Yep.
I grew up with this. This is like a very good home cooked meal if you had that. Or sometimes you go in a restaurant and you just, parents bring in boxes full of these. You know it's a good day. Check this out.
In Asian culture, I'm sure, I think this is Viet culture too, I'm not sure. Definitely in Chinese culture, we like to have, and in Western culture similar, it's like, we like to have soup in the beginning of the meal.
At the beginning.
I think soup, from a symbolic perspective, is very different in other ways. Like, we don't necessarily eat soup as a meal unless we're having like bowls of noodle soup, like pho.
Yeah, that's right.
But soup for us is usually had in the beginning, and in Cantonese we use this term called hoi wai. And hoi wai means almost to open up the heart or open up the soul. And so we have soup in the beginning just as a way to help prepare ourselves for the meal ahead. And so, soup comes in the beginning. A lot of times, if you're in a restaurant and you're having Chinese food and they're familiar with you, they'll bring you something called a lai tong. And lai tong means complimentary soup.
Oh.
And it's usually a house soup that's sitting in a big stock pot in the back. And they'll just bring you a bowl, and that helps to start the meal. Slurping, when it comes to soup and noodles, is actually a symbolism that you enjoy the food and you're thanking the kitchen for the effort that they put into creating that. Absolutely. So slurp away. Now maybe if you're at a Michelin restaurant having some other types of consommé, you will probably just do a little bit of, but here, slurp away, yo.
Usually eat with ginger, right? Oh, that's it.
That's it right there. Whoa, wow, 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 wow.
Sometimes I forget who's young and who's not.
I'm young looking, man. So Edwin and the master chef here decided that they were gonna add something else because we've got this whole thing about, we have one of the things we're talking about, yao tao yao mei in Cantonese, which means you must have head and tail, which is being whole. It's a very big thing when it comes to Lunar New Year. And he's like, well, chef's gonna do what you wanna do on that big fish, which is coming, but we also have an entire chicken. And so this is absolutely stunning. This is a beautifully cooked chicken, which has been fanned out. Don't be freaked out. There's a head, and then there's the tail. My grandmother really loved the bottom end of the chicken. We always had to give her like the part past the leg thigh, which is the chicken butt. She loves it. Lots of flavors, my grandmother would say. And then I'm going to assume this is their house-made ginger scallion sauce.
It's classic.
Which is, I could just eat that on rice, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but all the non-Chinese in my family can't do the cold chicken.
Oh, I eat it cold though.
Yeah, but that's us. Yeah. It's like culturally, I don't know what it is. Like my Western friends, they ain't down for the cold chicken. They eat chicken salad.
Yes.
They'll eat my fried chicken cold. But they ain't eating this chicken cold. I don't know why.
We're allowed to.
The thing for me is measuring the quality of a Chinese kitchen or an Asian kitchen is how tender and juicy white meat is.
True.
Right? And so when I take a look at this,
show on the
look
screen.
how juicy this is.
Look at that. Look at this.
So juicy. So you just take this chicken. Oh.
Well, I mean,
it was going home where it's supposed to.
He's working
into
on
that ginger scallion sauce. Okay. Because Brian did not take the lesson from earlier about elders eating first and feeding elders, I'll feed myself.
There it is. Oh, it's cold. Yes.
What part of it's cold did you not understand?
Yo, it's just like sometimes, like things just like get remixed in the Western culture. You know what I'm saying? Like I forget.
There's nothing West about this other than we're on Dundas West,
which is like I mean, sure. This is our version of like the 8-course meal, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we don't really put numbers on courses. We kind of like, it's always been for us.
Thank you.
We just eat until we don't eat, right? Because it's the fabric of our community is about eating. And let me get you some fresh tea there, Brian.
Thank you so much. Usually when you notice that the cup is empty, you kind of serve others too. It's kind of like the culture.
It's a big thing. Serve those to your left and to your right.
But also keep in mind, I cannot reach over the table. That's not the
So
way to
I
do
can
so.
also, and this is a big thing, is like, if I can't reach the person across, then I'll do the courtesy of just lazy Susaning.
Look at this.
Lazy Susaning.
Greatest invention ever.
The pot of soup. What makes Susan so lazy? So the crew brought out yimin, or ifu noodles. This is traditionally a noodle that's eaten in banquet style. Lunar New Year's one, like all the times when we get together for family to eat, we'll do a noodle like this, and it's generally at the end.
Yes.
We'll do it with rice and then with noodle. You cannot smell this from the camera. Maybe you can. I don't know, AI can do all kinds of stuff. But there is this term in Chinese cooking called wok hei,
Okay.
which the breath of the dragon or the breath of the wok is what it is.
How fitting.
Wok hei is basically the ability for a wok chef to create this tremendous smoky flavor and odor with how they've cooked this food. And so I don't know if you can smell it. It's got a lot of smokiness to it.
A lot of
and that is a really tremendous technique. Some people, particularly on the west side, in Western culture, think that it's charred or burnt. It is not. Burnt is when you see black chips in your food. This is cooking this at a level where you're able to get tremendous wok hei and preserve the flavor. Now, why are we eating noodles?
This is where there's a reason for this.
You want to bring your bowl up here, sir?
Yes, sir.
We're eating noodles. You can just put it down here. I don't want to burn you by any.
Look at this. Look at this.
Okay.
Ooh.
Noodles, the longer, the better. Why? Because it symbolizes longevity.
That's
And
it.
so we eat noodles all the time. You must have noodles at any banquet. Lunar New Year, for sure. Even if it just means having, in Cantonese we would say yat ju, which means like a little bit of a bite or slurp of noodles. You need to have some. You don't have to eat an entire bowl, but even if it was just like one little noodle, it helps satisfy the tradition gods of Lunar New Year so that you have longevity.
There's one thing I also taught. I don't know, your culture does it too, but like we turn the chopsticks around the end.
Why is that?
It's because like I was taught when you're eating with a chopstick already, this goes in your mouth and your
But, you know, a lot of times, today's culture, because of everything with nobody wants cross-contamination, there's usually shared chopsticks that are on the table.
That is right.
Or shared, I call these Canadian chopsticks, that can be used just for serving. So you're not, like Brian said, you're not doing this and then doing this. Nah.
You know, you really made me think when you said like, do we actually have baos? Not to my memory, because at home what we have is something called banjung, and it's wrapped in like a banana leaf,
Yeah?
and it's sticky rice.
Yeah, I had that just 2 weeks ago. And then you could serve it with like fried tofu
Yes.
or the different types of sausage,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and inside of it has meat.
Yes.
It has this beans and meats, but like you want to go even more like
That's very Chinese. So we have something called zhong, which is, I like to tell people it's like a tamale, but it's
yes.
not a tamale. So it's very similarly cooked. So that, would you call it again? The
banjung.
banzhong. The banzhong is very similar to a zhong. Zhong is probably from zhong. Because if you read the history of how the original Vietnamese got to the region of Vietnam, they were from southern China.
Oh, there it is.
And it's wrapped the same way. It's a sticky rice with minced meat and some nuts wrapped in a leaf.
Yes.
That is a zhong.
So you notice that we're just doing this naturally off the screen and off the script at this table, but he's actually picking up to serve a friend of ours, and that's very traditionally something that we do all the time.
Share, right? It's something like our elders would do. So we see some friends sitting over there that we know, and we're gonna share this chicken with them.
Share it well. Would you look at that?
This is really big and really symbolic when it comes to Lunar New Year, is having an entire steamed fish. It doesn't have to be steamed, it could be fried, but having an entire fish from head to tail, yao tao, have head, yao mei, have tail. To be whole is a very, very symbolic thing that we're talking about Asian dining. Edwin and the team really like when I said, do you do large steamed fish? And they're like, yeah, we kind of do like a fried fish with sauce, but we want to do something special. And they went and they found this 2-pound bass It's actually green bass. And so in Cantonese Chinese, take a look at this mouth. It's a big mouth. So in Cantonese Chinese, we would call this dai hao tang ban, which means big mouth green bass, literally. And so depending on who you were in the family and in the order of sort of like hierarchy, whoever you were, you want to make sure that the right people get the right piece of fish at least offered to them first, right?
That's right.
So my mother loves the tail, and so we would always save the tail for her. She always liked to pick the cheap piece of fish for
That's
me.
right.
I don't always go for it, but for me, it's a memory thing as a child, so my mom still gives that to me. I know for other people, they really like the stomach part away from the bone.
Yes.
But the beauty about this is that there's actually not a lot of ingredients in this. It's fresh fish, it's hot oil, soy sauce, and all the herbaceous things of ginger, onion, parsley, and some greens. And then what's great is all the essence and flavor of all the fish after they put the hot oil in it drips down, and you've got this really amazing fish broth sauce that just in white rice is amazing. But
Yes.
we are here for the start of the show, so I'm gonna give Brian a nice chunky piece of this bass. And I want you to get into it and tell me your thoughts. 'Cause
First off, it's like you can see the fattiness to it. It smells amazing.
I'm gonna pretend I'm my mom, and I'm gonna give myself the fish cheek. Ode to my friends, you know. What do you think?
It's like it goes down nicely. It's flavorful. It's amazing.
And
And the sauce.
a little bit of sauce.
Oh yes.
And listen, we when we do fish like this, it's whole fish with bone in, so you have to navigate a little bit. Sometimes if you're in a certain restaurant, they might debone the fish for you, but it takes the fun out of it, you know?
It's the experience.
I think eating whole animal with skin and bones in is a bit of a cultural adventure and a culinary adventure. I can tell the texture of that fish cheek from anywhere.
Yes. It's so good.
If you got some bone, you just take it out.
That's where all the flavors are at.
Oh,
Oh, do you say anything before you eat? Traditionally,
we say sakfan.
we say moi,
What does that mean?
which is like welcome.
Okay, so I mean, like we've gone through pretty much like a pretty dynamic meal, a lot of food there, but
Large.
you got to finish sweet, right?
We have to.
And we finished before we talk about the sweet stuff. We want to talk about red packets,
That's right.
or legacies as we call in Cantonese.
Or lycée in Vietnamese.
Legacy in Vietnamese. I mean, not first of all. There's this whole culture of like who gets it, who gives them. The older you get, the less you get.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so this whole thing is like if you're not married,
Yes.
then you don't have an obligation to red packet all the younger people in the family. And once you're married, you start to fall off the list of being a recipient,
Yes.
and it becomes more financially expensive. You then become a giver as opposed to a receiver.
Yes.
I'm at that point where I'm giving out a lot more than I'm giving, and you know, like kind of like. I don't want people to say that I'm an elder, but I am an elder now in some aspects in terms of the, you know,
We gotta accept it, man.
we always have to hold a whole stack of these in our pockets to like just give out to people to wish them luck. Now, this is the time of year when you kind of wish that the Canadian government brought back the $1 and $2 bills, because back then it was, you know, less expensive. But hey, these things, they're very fruitful. I mean, like you could get, let me see.
Look.
Let me see. So a red pack, this is lucky money, right? You can get as low as 5 spot,
That's right. The blue.
or if someone likes you, or they're dripping, they might slam in like a red one or even a brownie sometimes.
Yes. There's a fitty right here.
I can just tell you, I am not in that bracket. I am in the restaurant business, so that means I have zero cash. So, but we wanted to end strong because this is sort of like the big gesture of the prosperity and wishing people luck is to two hands give people "恭喜发财," you know, Sunday Philo, Happy New Year, all that stuff.
And notice it's two hands. There's actually a gesture. You have to say it.
Two hands.
He's laughing because you know how it is. It's two hands.
It's two hands. Now, since we're at that, we gotta finish sweet.
Let's take a look.
We asked it for like just bring something sweet, but once again, Edwin and the Walk Theory team were like, no, we're gonna make you special ones.
I'm waiting for it.
So this is usually a special order. It's called a sao bao, or like a lucky bao, right?
Yeah.
And so they're like these little beautiful little packets of baos that are steamed with little pink food coloring. They're really hot, by the way. And then when you crack them open, there's like lotus paste on the inside.
Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I gotta.
you know what I love it
tap
because it kind of looks like a little baby's butt. It's so cute. You know, they're like, they're so cute and they're so delicious and they're so little. Bow bow. So we're actually doing a video where Brian's not dancing.
I know, it's a little weird.
Dancing in our brains, maybe.
Something that traditionally Asian parents are not really happy about, but hey, we're 2024 right now. We out here.
I want to thank Edwin and the entire team at Walk Theory. I want to thank Brian for making time from his going around the world and dancing and doing what he does and riding on the Via train and showing us jumping off the CN Tower and all that shit. But
That was scary,
that
man.
was scary, right?
Yeah.
But I want to thank, once again, I want to thank Walk Theory. I want to thank small business vendors. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in on our first episode of, what are we calling this thing again?
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. Happy New Year. Happy Year of the Dragon. Gong hei fa choi. Hope you get rich, prosperity, health, love, all of that stuff. And wish that to everyone else. We'll see you on the next episode.
Jabang namoy. Happy New
Gong hei
Year.
fa choi.
Bye-bye. Of course we have to do this peace sign. Why do we do the peace sign?
It's good.